Hi everyone, it's the Music Reel, Nicola Burton from Music Means Business. I have the Pushy Boys with me again today, Mark, Michael and Manny. And our very special guest today is Mark from My Guest List. Mark, I didn't even try and pronounce your last name. I'm a coward, I know. Okay. Mark, it's very nice to have you here today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
We're good, thank you. We're still in lockdown, but we're surviving. We've got a lot of projects happening. I thought it'd be great to talk to you today, Mark, because your app called My Guest List, I think it's a great tool for the hospitality industry, and you're doing this incredible project at the moment called Project Unity. So I thought perhaps you could introduce yourself and a little bit about the app and about the project as well, so that the people that we're working with can have a little bit more information about what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll pronounce my surname. It's my name is Mark Sudweeks. I run the sales team over at My Guest List. I've been with the company now for just on 5.5 years, but the company itself has been around since 2008. And primarily we're servicing businesses within the hospitality industry to help them with managing probably the most important asset, and that's their customer database. So helping them to gather all that data that they're collecting from various other third-party platforms, bring it all into one system so that they can start communicating effectively with that asset, with that database. And we focus on email and SMS, and then being able to automate communications as well. So taking advantage of all those different behaviours that customers exhibit within establishments and venues to ensure that we're getting the right information out to the right people at the right time. Because obviously, we're trying to convert these customers to come into the venue. So that's what we're trying to do to help. Now, I guess with COVID, when that all hit, like every other business out there, we were impacted quite severely. Obviously, having all our eggs in one basket with hospitality probably wasn't ideal at that moment. But we obviously recognised, like everyone, we needed to be proactive, and we needed to get on the front foot to try and help out. These venues that were really struggling. I mean, yes, we were doing it tough, but not as tough as what some of the the restaurants and the pubs and the bars and the clubs that we worked with were doing. So we came up with a concept which we ended up dubbing Project Unity, and what it was the idea where we would go out to a bunch of restaurants and pubs and venues across the country that at that point we're still trading with some sort of takeaway capacity. We would then group those venues together based on geography, based on their cuisine, even the caliber of venue. We'd bring those venues together and ask each one of them to put up a special offer. From there, we would go and collate that into a single email campaign that we would then upload into each of those venues' respective My Guest List accounts. And then we would send those emails out at the same time each week. Obviously with the venues, not only promoting their own offers, but promoting the offers of the other venues as well. So everyone was sort of getting a little bit of a taste of one another's database. And I guess it was just trying to really play on that whole, we're in this together, we're trying to help one another out. At the end of the day, if a bunch of venues fail, then a whole lot more will probably fail as well. So we were just trying to help out there. And it's been pretty successful in regards to the venues, coming on board and wanting to promote. And obviously now that some of these businesses can start to reopen again, albeit with much smaller capacities, we've obviously, said, it doesn't just have to be for takeaway. It can be for, what you're offering for dine-in, because just because venues are open to the public, I don't think they're going to suddenly flock back in. So there's still going to be some hard work ahead for a lot of these venues to get them back towards similar levels as they were operating probably back in sort of February, early March.
Exactly. That is a great initiative. Now, I know these guys are working very closely with a lot of venues in Queensland. So guys, what questions do you have for Mark about this? As we know, marketing is the most important part. So over to you guys.
Well, Matty, go for it. All right, well, let's talk over each other then. Look, I guess, Mark, it's a great concept, and okay, let's transpose that across to the music industry where, I guess musicians operate via a number of platforms. I'd like to sort of explore the exercise of maybe looking at what you've done for the hospitality industry specific, transpose that across to the music industry, and how you could help the music industry, like, I guess, cross-collateralize and bring that into your particular platform and bring it all into one nice, neat bow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I mean, I guess, you know, while our system is and our core market that we target is hospitality, at the end of the day, the functionality and the premises of the system is adaptable in any business. And we do work with non-hospitality businesses out there. It's tended to be organically that those people have come to us. But absolutely with these musicians, the ability to be able to, collate their data that they've got, their email lists, bring them into the My Guest List platform to then be able to communicate out with those customers regularly, but also, I suppose, to identify that say their customers, but their followers. Their followers probably going to have slightly different tastes in various things, different preferences. So being able to gather that information is important too, just as it is whether you're a restaurant, knowing that, somebody likes to drink red wine. So if you're ever going to send them out, something about a wine night, that's what you probably gear the messaging to. The same thing can certainly be transposed across the music industry as well.
So you can drill down into the absolute specifics and archetypes of individuals, socioeconomics, etc. So that's intriguing and, like, I think really relevant to the music industry. That, so if we can transpose, I mean, we may have another conversation over the next couple of weeks as well, Mark.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, Mark, what have you got?
Well, I suppose, Mark, what differences do you see for the hospitality industry post-COVID-19?
I think, look, obviously things were already going towards takeaway. I mean, there's obviously been the rise of the delivery companies and yes, there's the big brands out there, Uber Eats and Deliveroo and DoorDash, but there's also a number of smaller providers. When I say smaller providers, ones that obviously don't have the mass scale that those bigger operators do. But look, it was already trending towards a lot more takeaway. I would say going forward that number is going to increase even more so. I think what I've really liked some venues doing is, rather than just saying, we're going to go takeaway and we're going to just put our menu online. They've, for some venues that doesn't work. Like, let's be honest, a steak doesn't travel very well in a polystyrene container when it's already been cooked. So what I've seen venues do is create these take-home packs. And, venues that would normally maybe have a price point of $40 or $50 for a main meal have dropped that down to maybe $20, $30. But here's a take-home pack. Say, for example, the steak, everything's prepared. It's ready to go. It's just a matter of putting it in your oven and setting your oven to 200 degrees for however many minutes. And the instructions are there. And I've seen venues, put together little videos, 2-3 minute videos on what they need to do. I think a lot more of that's going to happen. It'll be interesting as well. I know there's, I'm down in Victoria. And the perception is, people are back out and about, but there's still a lot of people that aren't. And I think it's going to take a while for people to get trust in going back out into big community spaces. I think the COVID thing's probably going to be around for a while, in the sense that the virus is still out there. So I think a lot of venues are going to still, yes, well, there'll be people that come in and dine, that they're going to need to maintain that sort of takeaway or that sort of option. And it'll be interesting to see, then you've also got the rise of things like dark kitchens, which were already sort of coming about as well. It may be that some of these operators don't even necessarily have a storefront going forward, or, it gives them the opportunity of, yes, I physically have a restaurant in, Fortitude Valley, but why can't I have a dark kitchen that serves people down at Surfers Paradise? And I think that might be sort of what we see coming. And I guess that the smart operators are probably already looking at those sorts of things as well.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Michael.
Hey, look, hi, Mark. I think all the initiatives that you're doing and the different things that you're talking about, I think can not just for hospitality, but for all industries really benefit from, the main business premise of what you guys are doing. Just to backtrack to where we talked about, how did it all sort of come about? How was it, where was the initial idea? Where did it sort of start?
Are you referring to the company My Guest List itself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, it's a good story actually. So the company is made up of three founders. Now one of those founders used to co-own a nightclub here in Melbourne back when he was 19, 20 years old. Pretty entrepreneurial sort of guy. And he had the other two founders of the business were mates from his at uni. They'd all done computer sciences or were doing a computer sciences degree at university. And one of the challenges that they were having with the nightclub is that they were trying to collect data on their patrons. So they had, promo girls going around with clipboards trying to get, names and emails. It's not exactly easy to do in a nightclub when people are doing all sorts of things. And, the last thing they wanted to do is put those details down. So they went and they wrote themselves a guest list management app, and they launched it onto the App Store. So the Apple App Store, the day the iPad was released here in Australia. So they were in that first wave of apps that went into that. So what it allowed them to do was to start collecting this data from people that were coming into the nightclub. As it happened, the one founder who owned the nightclub, his business partner wanted to go in a different direction, so essentially bought him out. The boys were left without work, I suppose. But the industry being what it was and everyone sort of knowing one another, they recognised there was an opportunity to offer this product to other nightclubs in the area. And like with all small businesses, it was sort of, no cost, try it out, tell us what you think, get your feedback. And that's sort of where it grew from. So for the first 4 or 5 years, it was really just nightclubs they were targeting, and they built things on. So collect the data, let's now use the data. Let's look at ways in which we can use it. Let's, automate a birthday email to go to somebody, 7 days before to, with a $50 drink card to come into your nightclub and that sort of stuff. And then it was at about that 5-year mark, that's when they recognized, hey, maybe we've actually got something here that we can take out to the broader industry. And that's when they started to look at pubs and bars, and then the restaurant industry, and then clubs and QSRs, and, this, I suppose, broader hospitality industry that exists. And to the point where, up until probably 5 or 6 years ago, the whole aggregation and collection of data wasn't a massive point. But now that there's so many different platforms out there, there's reservation systems, there's loyalty, there's, free Wi-Fi, there's so many different things. Now we integrate with thousands of these platforms to help bring all this data together automatically for venues, sort it all out so they can start using it.
How good is that? It is so good. Mark, it's been great to talk to you and listen to this information today, and all of the venues that we're working with. Anyone watching this, we will put all the information for my guest list in this post, because I think that moving forward post-COVID, you've got to make your point of difference in the market, and you've got to use the data, like you said, and all the different collection points in your venue. And having a tool like My Guest List could really help you, I guess, get that edge, get all of it consolidated in the one little technology, and maximize every opportunity that you've got, because things are going to change, aren't they, Mark? It's going to be quite different.
They definitely will. And just to go over a point you said there about data. And I think that's, we certainly had venues that hit us up really early on in COVID and said, we need to build a database. Now, unfortunately, now's not the time to build a database. It was pre-COVID, because venues were recognizing that, hey, if all my data is run by, the delivery guys or the online booking guys or everything, is, I don't own that. I don't control that. I pay a premium to essentially access my own data. So that's what we say to venues, is not that you shouldn't be on those other platforms. Absolutely, it all adds up, but you should own your own. So that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Good point. And once you've got the data, you can make better decisions for your business. So Mark, from My Guest List, what great information you've given us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Everyone, you've got to check this out. And Project Unity is an incredible initiative to help everybody in this incredibly challenging time. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, My Guest List. And thank you, Pushy Boys. I'll see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you.